Well, good morning to everyone, and welcome to this LIFE Clean Energy Transition Info Day. I'm Sylvain Robert, I'm Project Advisor in CINEA, and it is my pleasure to be the moderator of this session today. We are very grateful for you, to you attending this Info Day. So this morning, we are going to start with a plenary. So this is a full day for Life Clean Energy Transition with the first plenary session, which will give you the main elements about the program, including some policy background, including information on financial elements. And then in the afternoon, we have actually parallel sessions to address the different topics under the call 2024 of LIFE CET. So without further ado, I would like to start with the first item of this plenary, asking Hans Rein, Head of Unit of Life Energy Climate in CINEA, to join us in order to say a few words in introduction to the session. Hans, the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Sylvain, and a very warm welcome to all participants to this kind of special info day dedicated entirely to the clean energy transition program of LIFE. Why is it so special? Well, I guess, first of all, as Sylvain just explained to you, it's a whole day dedicated just to this sub-program of LIFE. We have 9 parallel sessions during the day, so a lot of information will be shared. It is also specific because it specifically or mainly addresses the call type that I explained already on Monday, which is the coordination and support actions under LIFE, which are 95% co-financed. And lastly, it is important because I think the topic is extremely important. It's the topic or the topics that cover and support the clean energy transition. I think for this reason, today's the call 2024 and today's presentation on the sub-program Clean Energy Transition is particularly important because it is about implementation. We have had an exciting number of years over the past few years of the Commission, where the legislative framework for the green energy transition has been adopted. We have seen the latest adoption just a few weeks ago of the Energy Performance in Buildings Directive that has been updated. And it is now really the time to move towards implementation and to help finance the clean energy transition. And there I think you are, as actors in the field, extremely important. And we look really at your innovation to make sure that this clean energy transition can work. So we hope to receive a lot of good, interesting proposals. And that's why we spend so much time during the day to explain the different topics that are covered under this call today on clean energy transition. As I've said, we opened this year 14 topics for coordination and support action. You'll have the 9 parallel sessions that will try to provide detailed information of what we specifically seek in terms of proposals and ideas and innovation during these calls. So you have a lot of information from a lot of dedicated staff that will explain the details of it. It's also a bit particular, and my colleague Pierluca Merola will explain probably a little bit more in detail. We have also for the first time a standard action program topic under this, which is dedicated in particular to the rollout of energy agencies, but also providing support to industrial competitiveness and seeking to find solutions to ensure that. So this is a very interesting topic. And with these words, I just would like to thank all my colleagues who have spent a lot of time preparing today, and wishing you all a very, very interesting day today in this session. Thank you very much. Over to you, Sylvain.
Thank you, Hans. And now it's my pleasure to give the floor to Pierluca Merola, who is a policy officer in DG Energy of the European Commission, and is going to introduce the policy background related to the program. The floor is yours, Pierluca. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sylvain, and thank you very much, Hans, and welcome to all the participant to you from home. I will introduce to you a bit the policy background, the policy update. Many of you are experts, you know that already, but I think is important from us from DG Energy side to provide you a bit the reflection on how the sub-program, the LIFE CET sub-program, and the activities we finance here are really goes hand in hand with the policy development and policy implementation. Also because we are really keen in having, of course, a direct support to our actors in the ground that in the end drive the change. And as you know, the program is very requiring in terms of going beyond what is the minimum expected, and that is also why we look to you for policy feedback. Okay, beside this general background, you know that now we are toward the end of the mandate of the von der Leyen Commission, and we are very happy to have really revised the overall framework for the clean energy transition in line with the objectives set out back in the end of 2019 when the Commission launched the European Green Deal. I will not go into the detail, but just to recall that this is our overall framework of our work so far, and now with the different directives adopted, we have indeed the instrument at the EU level. This is important to mention here as well that everything also for us for the sub-program and the activity on energy efficiency and clean energy transition started as well with the renovation wave, so with the focus on the energy consumption in building and decarbonization of building. If we can move to the next slide, please. Then another, let's say how we usually mention the unexpected policy driver of our activity at the European level when we come to the energy policy. If in terms of the European Green Deal and the overall push toward energy transition was planned, what was not planned, unfortunately, is the Russian aggression to Ukraine and the following and the aftermath of that in terms of energy crisis. And in order to reply to this energy crisis and to phase out the dependence from the Russian fossil fuel, in Europe we have develop and deploy the REPowerEU plan. It's important to mention the REPowerEU plan because there are two anchors of the three of the REPowerEU plan that are directly addressed by the LIFE CET program and by the calls. In particular, the focus on energy efficiency, energy saving, and on accelerating the clean energy transition. Here, an important role is also covered by the priority to decarbonize heating supply and heating consumption, in particular through the deployment of heat pumps that, as you know, is one of the key areas where we intervene. If we can move to the next slide, please. Then just a reminder of our, as said, of the three directive of the 355 Fit for 55 revisions. Of course, the Energy Efficiency Directive, the Renewable Energy Directive, and the Energy Performance of Building Directive. When it comes to the Energy Efficiency Directive, this was the first one where we finalized the negotiation. back in April 2023, and it was entered into force in October 2023. Now there is, of course, and as Hans mentioned before, now there is a transposition period, and the focus is very much on implementation and on supporting the implementation, because the adoption, of course, of the legal requirement at the EU central level is done, but now first member states have to transpose this in their national framework, so also complement it where it needs to be complemented, and then we need to move into delivering on the objective of the directive. Let me just underline a couple of elements, starting from the target. The energy efficiency target has been increased to a reduction of 11.7% by 2030 compared to the baseline of 2020, and the target is binding at for the final energy consumption. So there is a collective obligation for member states and the European Union to achieve this. Secondly, also very important to drive the overall energy efficiency agenda are the national energy saving obligations that would apply to, depending on the different member state, the obligated party, if they are distributors or supplier. But overall, here the national energy saving obligation have been increased to an average of 1.49. I speak about average because it's a stepwise increase. So from year to year, there is an increase of the annual energy saving that the obligated party will need to achieve. And then I don't go into the detail because we will do that in the parallel sessions. But just to mention very swiftly the importance of the increased definition of the efficient of the definition in terms of and trajectory for efficient district heating and cooling system. The energy audits also requirement have been reinforced, as well as those related to just transition and energy poverty, and of course the energy efficiency first principle. If we can move to the next slide, please. Here, instead, I wanted to briefly recall, indeed, the work on the Renewable Energy Directive. This as well has been approved back in the spring 2023, if I'm not wrong, in April as well, and then enter into force in November in 2023 last year. In this case, the target, the renewable energy target in terms of share of renewable energy in the European energy system has increased to 42.5% from the previous 20%. So you know that this is a doubling of the pre-European Green Deal situation and trajectories. Here as well, there are a number of sectoral and divided between binding annual or on the 10 years period target, applying the most important one, of course, for our activity under our LIFE CET are the one on heating and cooling, which is mandatory, and this is particularly relevant, as well as the one on buildings and industry. Then another important element are, of course, the when it comes to renewables, the issue, the element to accelerate the authorization of renewables, in particular when it's come to the overriding public interest of renewable deployment, and the identification of so-called renewable acceleration areas. These are key element to indeed that need to be transposed in member state, and that will need to that will help us in reaching this target, and beyond that toward the 2050 decarbonization. If we can move to the next slide. Here, and I'm sorry, I see that the slide is a bit yeah, it's a bit overlapping. Here, I wanted to present the energy performance of building directive. In this case, we have the adoption very recently on the 12th of April. And the publication in the official journal is happening, I think, these days, these very days. So the overall objective of the energy performance of building directive is really to let's say tackle the energy saving potential in buildings, because is where the majority of energy consumption are taking place. and where we have a lot of potential when we look also as well at the the possible energy saving. The overall directive is a bit divided, and the overall intervention logic in two main fields: the activation of renovation in the short to medium term, so to increase the renovation rates and tools toward that objective, and the long-term vision for a fully decarbonized building stocks, and also including provision for new buildings toward the 2050 climate neutrality. So how is set out how the European building stocks need to look like for a climate neutral continent. Of course, there are a number of elements where I don't enter into detail now, but also of the important tools such the strengthening of the energy performance certificate, renovation passport, that will help this overall process, as well as including in the ED, the important role played by one-stop shop for energy renovation, and we will speak about that in the dedicated parallel session. If we can move to the next slide, I just wanted, when it comes to the PVD, to to mention that there are the key regulatory tool to foster the the renovation of buildings, divided on tools for non-residential building stock, the minimum energy performance standards, and as well as the renovation trajectories when it comes to the residential building stock. These are novel, are probably the main reform introduced by the directive, and where following now with the transposition, of course, especially on the residential building side, the member state really need to complement the European legislation, because they have a significant flexibility in identifying the building stock to be addressed, but where, of course, there will be a strong need for support in order to deliver on these objectives. If we can move to the next slide very briefly. Thank you. Yes, one of the key element and key area that I wanted to also bring up, and is related to a number of our call topics when we speak about technical assistance, about innovative financing, about one-stop shop as well, but also when speaking specifically about buildings, is the financing challenge, because this is one of the mobilization of additional investment, and also the financial architecture of how we finance energy efficiency project is strictly related to the achievement of our objective. Here, I wanted to recall the investment gaps. There are different, of course, different estimate, but the one that we use is the one that was made at the time of the ED proposal with regard to the target, and we are looking at an investment gap of around 165 billion per year, and it's clear that if we want to achieve that, there are a number of let's say, of general areas where we need to intervene, but in particular to, on one side, make a more efficient and long-term use of the public finance available, because the public finance available for building renovation and energy efficiency have significantly increased, at least from EU level, at least 4 times in the current multi-annual financial framework. And then the other element is to use it in order to attract more private financing, both by promoting innovative and private financing scheme that are attractive to final beneficiary, but as well as promoting the demand, simply promoting the demand and promoting the interest in energy efficiency investment, in renovation, more broadly in investment in the energy transition, including in companies, how we do it across the sub-program, and as well in heating and cooling, which is also a key and fundamental area. If we can move to the next slide. In terms of update, I just wanted to bring up this important development, because of course it will in the years to come, it will be relevant for a number of activities in the ground to liaise with it. Is the establishment of the European Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition. This was is a coalition that we have announced back in the Save Energy communication of REPowerEU, and then work toward that with the signing of the joint declaration by all the EU 27 member states in December last year. And just a couple of days ago, we had on Monday we had the official launch event of the coalition. So now we are building toward the establishment of this coalition that will be based on a three-layer approach made by EU, let's say, high-level political general assembly, followed by the expert level, but also most importantly, I think for our project that we will be financing in the future, the interlinkage with the national hubs in the different member states, because in the end, investment activation happen at member state level. If we can go to the last slide, where I wanted very briefly to present it, is indeed a final addition to our set of legislative let's say regulation and act, and this is the Net Zero Industry Act. The Net Zero Industry Act was proposed back in March in 2023, and is indeed to focus in activating the EU in providing support and activating EU manufacture capacity of clean energy technologies. It established the general regulatory framework to this end, and we have a provisional agreement that was reached back in the beginning of February by the co-legislator in the framework of the trilogue. The final vote in the European Parliament, I think, is happening in the plenary that is going on this week, maybe even this morning, and then there will be of course the vote on the council. To just present very briefly the objective here is indeed to establish a framework to ensure access to the supply of technologies for both for the end user, for the energy transition, but as well to identify what are those technologies where we need to focus our effort in terms of as well of support. It provides some overall target that in terms of annual deployment and in terms of the union share of the world production of this technology by 2040. And with that, I conclude my presentation, and I will meet with you will see me again in some of the parallel session, and I wish you a very nice info day on the LIFE Clean Energy Transition program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pierluca, for this very thorough presentation, and you managed to make it concise too, so much appreciated. So this is a lot of information, so I guess people could start having questions. Actually, we are having questions starting flowing in. So just to underline for the participants that you can ask your questions using Slido through the website. And then this will be addressed as part of the Q&A session that we have later in the morning. Now I would wish to give
the code for the Slido, sorry?
Yes, it's sharp EU live EU. Sorry, I'm going to check. It's sharp EU live 24. Voilà. Thank you. So I will now give the floor to Annette Jan, who is head of sector in CNEA, in order for her to give you an overview of the LIFE Clean Energy Transition Program. Annette, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sylvain. Good morning, a warm welcome also from my side. And thank you very much for the introductory words from Hans and the very efficient overview, Pierluca, of the comprehensive legislative update. We can go to the next slide, please. If we could start from there. And the next one, please. Thank you very much. So I'll dive right into the topic of the day, the LIFE Clean Energy Transition Program in support to implementing the energy transition. We've heard the Fit for 55 package really initiates what we would really call a fundamental transformation of nearly all sectors in the economy. And in addition, many of you, we are very aware of that, many of you are working in regions across the EU with very different conditions, or even in regions with even earlier decarbonization targets, or with even a higher ambition, and basically front running these developments for the whole of the society within the EU. Now, this transformation, we know it really needs a change of how the market operate fundamentally. So basically breaking market barriers, change market and regulatory fundamentals. It does really need an improved governance and notably better capacities and better skills at all levels of the value chains. Pierluca just finalized his presentation on the need for mobilizing investment and improving the access to finance, and notably really seeking an active engagement of citizens, which are really needing to be at the center of this transition. And this is really the DNA of the LIFE Clean Energy Transition Program, of which I have the honor now to present you a few details as an overview, so that you really get a broad picture of the program, which acts really in response to the legislative packages, which are also on this picture, but which Pierluca has outlined to us earlier. If we go to the next slide, we see a picture basically of the funding streams of the main areas which the program is supporting, and which of course very naturally do mirror the policy agenda, policy initiative and targets, which were just outlined in the illustration of the update of the legislative packages. Now, with this picture, just to give you a few information for those who don't know us yet so well. So the program LIFE Clean Energy Transition operates on the basis of an annual call for proposals. And that call is articulated in different funding topics, and again, which really mirror the policy objectives outlined earlier. And this is what you see on this slide here, that you see basically different areas which resonate with you if you've had followed the previous presentation, resonating for the attracting of private finance on the upper left, or supporting the EU energy policy framework, or moving to the right of the picture, for example, the projects that we selected last year for the important area of renovation of our building stock in Europe. Now, the funding topics, they do have detailed guidance on the aims and expectations that we would attribute and invite for based on your expert knowledge and based on your experiences in your territories. And for the call 24, you will find 15 of these funding topics. And as I said earlier, I will take you now to a very fast helicopter flight, and which, however, hopefully gives you the picture across the whole of the program, and which basically is then articulated in our 9 detailed sessions, which will then give you a dedicated picture of each of the separate funding topics. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So here you can see the first set of our 15 funding topics. We start shortly from the left of the picture. So here we see the first pillar, in which the call offers 2 major funding topics focusing at the role of citizens in the clean energy transition. Here we are continuing our work on alleviating household energy poverty in Europe. There has been strengthening of this work through the latest recast of the Energy Efficiency Directive. And here we are supporting public authorities to make this work, but also to offer more localized solutions for renovation of multi-apartment buildings, being one of the challenges in order to host and improve the conditions for vulnerable population communities in different places in Europe. Looking at the second topic, this really is a support. Sorry, looking at the second topic of that given slide, please, could you move back? Thank you. looking at the second topic of that pillar, we are looking at the work for the growing market for energy communities. For those of you who are working in this very vibrant and very fast developing area here, we are supporting directly the setup of communities or by developing centralized or regionalized, nationalized one-stop shops of other facilitation services to offer technical support for this very interesting development in the market. Now we will move to the next slide. And because that will bring us to the middle pillar of this work, here we are really looking at the important area of building renovation and heating and cooling. Looking at the first topic, this is really hosting all of our work, creating the conditions to make building renovations deeper. First of all, that's the target of the recasted dedicated directive, but also faster, smarter, more service-oriented, and more data-driven. And in the light of the just shortly now adopted recasted performance of buildings directive, the focus this year will really be on the facilitation of deep renovation on the one hand, but also to work on better building data. And here really the energy performance certificates, EPCs, really have a central importance in the funding opportunities of this year. The second topic, supporting district heating and cooling, very important on the decarbonization of our heating supply across Europe. Here there is support for district heating operators to structure and implement investment plans to upgrade existing or new systems to comply with the criteria of the revised directive, and basically, in essence, moving more low temperature renewable energy or waste heat into the systems. The third topic, here we're looking very topically, I'm sure for many of you, supporting the rollout of high quality heat pump installations across Europe, either in their role in buildings or also moving towards industrial applications. Certainly a very interesting and very needed topic for many parts of Europe. And we'll go to the third pillar with the next slide, please. Here we're looking at the central needs for skills in Europe, notably in the construction sector, but also in the industry sector, in order to have the quality renovations and the quality take-up of energy audits in European businesses as provided for by the EED, but of course as absolutely necessary by the demand. The demand on home renovation, on commercial building renovation really requires a volume and massification of the construction sector, and here skills will be central in order to deliver the quality but also the numbers of the renovations which are needed to fulfill our targets. Now I'll take you to the second set of our funding topics with the next slide. And here, starting from the left again, we look first at the policy frameworks, which really go over a bandwidth from the local levels to regional levels and to national levels. With the first topic, we're really hosting and continuing a very important pillar of our work. This is supporting the clean energy transition for our cities and regions in Europe. Notably here, it's the capacity building through really in-depth capacity building programs, which the program offers you to support, but also, and that's really in response directly to the recasted Energy Efficiency Directive, to pilot new approaches for the heating and cooling planning, which has become necessary for municipalities with a population number above 45,000, where we would like to pilot new approaches, but also finding really efficient ways of how cities can and regions can actually pool their efforts in running these exercises, learning from very early front runners who have been running such planning initiatives already over the last couple of years. The second topic moves in a different area here. We're really talking about the support of national administration for an effective implementation of key aspects of the three legislative packages, notably the Energy Efficiency Directive, the Renewable Directive, and the Building Directive, of course, very topical. This is really technical assistance for member states administrations to exchange on the practical barriers, solutions, challenges for their implementation, either now in the transposition phase, but also, of course, notably in the future take-up of their provisions. Moving to the second pillar with the next slide. Here we are looking at the important delivery support, which is offered through the LIFE Clean Energy Transition Program delivery in terms of mobilizing investment at local and regional level. The first topic, one-stop shops, is basically a summary for all of the efforts for one of the really key enabler for renovating homes across Europe, which we have observed over the last 5 to 7 years. It's a very strong topic in our program, and would like to continue with really leveled up ambition, inviting for proposals, setting up really integrated and fully serviced one-stop shops, notably for larger territories, in larger territories, for private homes and for large rental units. The second topic, facilitation structures for the renovation of public buildings. Here, really, the program offers support for the public sector in order to have an acceleration on their assets, on their public buildings, by offering support for setting up long-term facilitation structures. So in a way, a sort of one-stop shop for larger territories, really pooling their public assets into larger investment programs and setting up energy transition teams, which beyond the project duration will carry through these efforts up to the milestone targets, but up to the decarbonization, the full decarbonization of public buildings. Moving to the last topic of that pillar, project development assistant. That is really our central topic, really probably one step more downstream even, compared to the two previous topics, which are more structuring the actual one-stop shops. Here, the project development assistance really helps public or private project developers in their practical steps to build and launch concrete investment pipelines, sizable, with innovative organizational setups, and really renovating large units of public buildings, large units of private homes, going into industry, decarbonization, or, for example, for public infrastructure such as district heating and cooling networks or urban mobility. I take you now to the last pillar, attracting private finance for sustainable energy. That resonates very much with Pierluca's final slides on the work on the finance coalition in order to really activate the streams to attract private finance into sustainable energy. And here this year, the topic focuses on setting up and bringing into real life operation innovative financing schemes of all varieties, but which allow to channel private finance into sustainable energy investment. Now, I'd like to just highlight one final topic, so to say, topic number 15, which is a little bit hidden here on the visual of the slide, so I hope you can see this. So this is the new LIFE Clean Energy Transition Standard Action Project, and which is running as a pilot this year, targeting key actors of the energy transition to support really bottom-up actions by those unique actors. And we will be very curious of how the demand and how the proposals will be developing around this funding topic. Moving to the next slide. Here we have a snapshot of the call. The important parts that I would like to give you here as a plenary information, really, we will have the funding. The program will be able to offer funding for about 40 to 45 grants this year. I think we've made it as an open invitation. The funding topics really have very clear, detailed guidance. So please do visit our sessions which are dedicated to the topics, but also use the opportunity to really take the guidance of the actual call document. I think one point I'd like to highlight, many of our topics do actually offer the the added value that you can work across borders on these topics. So many of the topics have a minimum of 3 entities from 3 different eligible member states or eligible countries across the EU, whereas actually many participants do take this opportunity and have a number of participants which is way higher than this, because really that runs in very good complementarity to what they would see as their national or regional funding opportunities. The co-funding rate of 95%, except for the last topic of the standard action project topic, which has a 60% co-funding. And now on the final slide, I'll only guide you to 2 important points before finishing my presentation. Here you have all of the signposting for further information. I've circled in the 2, probably for you as potential and hopefully interested applicant, the 2 places which are really helpful to you. You have advice in your country with our live national contact points who can advise you on the funding topics, but more importantly, so they can even advise you concretely on your proposal, ideas and application. And we do also have clarification advice, of course, within our team of the clean energy transition experts in our unit. And here you have the signpost to the gateway, which takes you up to our energy experts in our team. And with this, I'd like to thank you for your attention and pass back the floor to Sylvain. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Annette, for this presentation.